Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Robert Barr, and I'm delighted to be sharing this Shabbat service with you. It's an opportunity for us to step out of our daily routines, to gain some perspective on where we've been and where we're going. We are living in challenging times, and the days seem to flow into one another without interruption. Time races on. The Sabbath is our means to divert time, a stepping off point, pausing with friends and loved ones to observe, then rejoice in another wonder-filled coincidence of living. There can be a sense of pleasure in every given breath, blessed with taste to savor and warmth to give and to receive. Bestowed with gifts of sight and sound, we are obliged to cherish and revel in each smile, in every musical note. The Sabbath also awakens us to the silence between notes. It speaks of contemplation, the quiet delight of literature, of unhurried walks, of rare conversation. The Sabbath can be our interlude, our ritual pause in this lively current, our signal to step more lightly, to appreciate more profoundly, to dive more deeply into the questions that life is asking. Again, I'm Rabbi Robert Barr of Congregation Beth. That's our bricks and mortar congregation and our Jewish community. That's our online congregation. We've been streaming services for over 10 years on our Jewish community. And when we began, it was an opportunity to reach out to people around the world who found our voice of Judaism meaningful to them. In the age that we're living in with this pandemic, and we're sheltering in place and keeping our social distance, our streaming services have become even more important. They're a chance, too, not only for our online community, but for our bricks and mortar members to come together and to observe and to pause and to recognize the Sabbath. And while technology has become increasingly important, it's also the voice of Judaism that is expressed here that is most profound. We give voice to a bold, dynamic Judaism. For 40 years, we have been working on creating a liturgy that reflects who we are, what we mean, and what we value. Our ancestors gave expression to their ideas and their values. We have the right and the responsibility to do the same. While we can respect and appreciate what our ancestors did, we recognize that we're not like them. History, science has informed us, and we have new ideas, new understandings about the nature of what it means to be a human being, a new understanding and a different understanding of theology in our sense that we aren't going to be rescued by some divine hand. The sense of responsibility that we as human beings have to make right that which is wrong and to leave a better world for the generations that follow us. So I'm delighted that you're sharing this service with me and with each other. This is a place that you can chat. You can write welcomes, hellos, but always be inclusive when you do that, because this is a community that welcomes people to us. Let us know where you're participating from. I know that many people can't watch when we're streaming live at 6 Eastern time in the U.S., Eastern time in the U.S. You can watch in our archives, and a lot of people do. So whenever you're participating, and wherever you're participating, welcome. You're part of this community. Now we're going to continue our service with the candle lighting. The candles of Shabbat stand before us, waiting to meet the flame, longing to share their warmth, ready to shed their light. Like those who came before us, like all people, we find comfort and fear in flame, endless swirl of fascination, mystery and awe. Like those who came before us, like all people, we are graced with the desire and the will to understand. So we continue our ancestors' search for answers, pushing away the darkness of ignorance. The flames they saw as magic and beyond comprehension became flames of knowledge and hope. But still we look with wonder, inspired by their beauty and power. We embrace the flames of Shabbat. We embrace the light, our vessel of mystery and understanding. As we light our Shabbat candles, we celebrate our journey, our quest, our moments of peace. May the light of our people shine. May the light of Shabbat cast its warmth in our homes. May these candles burn with respect for all who push beyond the bonds of ignorance, for all who seek justice, for all who build community. May these candles burn with the memory of all who came before us. May we draw on the many ways our people have given voice to their ideas and values. And may we add our own insight to their glow. Baruch ha'or ba'olam, blessed is the light within the world. Baruch ha'or ba'adam, blessed is the light of each person. Baruch ha'or ba'Shabbat, blessed is the light of the Sabbath. Yeah. There it goes. Thought I had a little problem there, but it did light. So we're going to continue our service with a conversation between myself and Rabbi David Burstein, the other rabbi of congregation, Beth Adam, and our Jewish community. It's a conversation about what you can expect during the upcoming high holidays. So enjoy and learn. So Rabbi Burstein, we are rapidly approaching the high holidays. And it feels like we've been talking about it for months, as has many rabbis, given that we are going to be online. And I want to talk to you a bit about what we're going to be doing, because I think it's the more that people know the decisions we made, the more the ability to find them meaningful. They're not going to be the same. I think that's really important for everyone to know. And we made some real specific decisions. The first one, was we're going to keep them about 45 minutes.
Right, and I think keeping them short is a good idea for everybody. I think there's a lot of Zoom fatigue or video fatigue, which people are having. Which
really, I have to say, there's two things that I really enjoy to do, which is I've always had fun and enjoy our Torah study during the high holiday service, those tend to go, they can go quite long. I do try to put a timer, and we really made a decision this year that our Torah study during the service was going to be very tight, about 10 minutes, and then for people who want to study the Torah portion with a discussion, we're going to make that's a separate event from the high holidays. From the high holiday service, I should say.
Because then we can have some back and forth too, and we can really study together the portion. And it's very interesting to write sermons and to write Torah portions like Torah reviews or whatever, Dvar Torahs that are short, because it's harder to be tight like that.
I think it was Mark Twain who once wrote, I think it's Twain, who apologized that he wrote such a long letter he didn't have enough time to edit it.
That's exactly right. There's a lot of editing that goes on.
Right. You wind up cutting. So what we're doing, I should really sort of back up. We're streaming our Erev Rosh Hashanah, our evening Rosh Hashanah service, our Rosh Hashanah morning service. Those things are going to be streamed. People are not going to need a Zoom link. All they're going to need to do is come to bethadam.org or be on one of our Facebook pages, and they can watch the service. It's at 7 o'clock Rosh Hashanah evening and at 10:30 Rosh Hashanah day. The Torah conversation that we were talking about, that's going to be at noon, and in order to participate in that, people are going to need a Zoom link because it's going to be interactive. And people have asked me, and I don't know if you've gotten the question, but people ask, well, why are we doing streaming services versus Zoom services? And the answer was in order to do a Zoom service, everybody needs a link. And recognizing that there have been bad players, let's say, who've intruded in meetings and at classes and at community events, because there's so many Zoom links, we wanted to restrict that. So the streaming service, people can still chat inappropriately, but we're going to monitor that. But the service itself, the integrity of the service will be there.
And they can watch it whenever they want, after it's streamed. Like, you can watch it at your convenience. And I think Zoom is hard because you have to mute yourself. There has to be all sorts of other things going on. There's always somebody on a Zoom call that can't figure out how to mute themselves. You hear their house and whatever else is going on. And I think the idea is to create this intimate environment using this medium to just kind of bring you into our houses and us into your houses and really let us kind of be part of the experience.
Right. And then, so that's Rosh Hashanah. Then on Yom Kippur, we're going to stream the service, Kol Nidre, the evening service at 7 again. And then the 10:30 will be the morning service. Noon will be the Torah with the conversation. And then in the afternoon, I can't remember, I think it's 4:30, I just don't remember off the top of my head, will be our memorial service, our online memorial service. And everybody, all of this is on our website. How do you think, for us it's been different, getting ready, given that we've had to prepare different. How do you think people who are going to be participating online should get ready? Our members often are used to coming to, they have to decide maybe who they're having dinner with, if they're having a family dinner or something like that. But how do you think you get ready to go, and I'm using that metaphorically, to services when what it means to go to services means you're going to walk from one room to another and turn your computer on?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for rituals, like kind of establishing a ritual of setting that time apart, because that's really what the holidays are about. It's just setting apart, a time that they can focus. And so to maybe do it in a room where you can have some quiet, or in an area where everybody can see it, not to do it at the table while you're eating or whatever, but to really kind of set that time aside, say, I'm going to spend the next 45 minutes engaging with this prayer service, engaging with the sermons, with the Torah discussions, with the music, all those pieces, and just setting aside a space to do that. I think that's, and some people might want to get dressed up, or, there's rituals to kind of like establish that. I mean, we're so used to I know that at a lot of clothing places, they're just selling the tops because you can't see what people are wearing underneath, but maybe there's a way that you can wear something nicer for this experience. And again, we're trusting people to do what they feel comfortable with. And, it's also going to be interesting because we're pre-recording some stuff and we're doing stuff ahead of time. I'm actually going to be watching the service in real time, which is very strange, but I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that looks.
Right.
For me, how do I set aside time for my own Rosh Hashanah experience, which I usually don't get as a rabbi because we're leading services. So
it sounds like there's going to have to be more intentionality in some ways, because whether we do a lot of decision making, we all have rituals probably pre-built about Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, who we're eating with. We get dressed, we go to services, we make a decision, we typically sit in the same places. This year, it's going to really take intention to decide, okay, what am I going to do to set this, and when am I going to watch it, knowing that if you've come to services at Beth, we're pretty punctual. We start at 8:15, we start at 10:30 in the morning. If you're going to come to services, people plan to get there. I've watched people, and they know parking, it gets a bit crowded with the police helping to direct traffic. But people come and they sit down, and they have to plan whether the evening or the morning, and then when they're eating their meals and things like that. This time, given that it'll start at 7 and at 10:30, but there's no driving there, and if you don't get there right on time, you can watch it in the archives. So people really have to think through, okay, I want to be ready to sit down and watch it when it starts at 7 o'clock or 10:30. And I want to create an environment that's not distracting, because you have to make a decision if you're going to be in that part of the house where there's noise. Are you going to have your phone sitting next to you? Are you going to let it ring during and if it is sitting next to you and it rings, are you going to answer it? Or are you going to say, for the next 45 minutes, I'm in services? Yeah.
I think you're right. It's going to take a lot of attention on the part of the people participating in the service from the congregational standpoint, and intention from us that we've had to really think about through this medium, how we can transfer that kind of personal experience to a two-dimensional space.
And right.
Go ahead.
And the reality is, and I think, you and I have talked about it, and I've certainly talked about it to folks in different settings, it's not going to meet all their expectations. It just simply can't. I do not want to pretend that what we're doing is the same as we've always done. It is a new experience. We've thought through it. We've tried to work with the medium that we have and with the limits of the medium. Also recognizing too, and we made a decision that I know some of our colleagues didn't make. Many of our colleagues, and you and I both talked to them, have decided to really just go into their sanctuaries and do the service by themselves in an empty sanctuary and either record or stream from there. And we made the decision early on that we were going to do it sitting from our homes, which is where we've been living and where everyone's living. We felt there was a dissonance between sort of acting as if it's the same when it isn't the same at all.
Yeah, and I think there's a sense of loss of this, the loss of community to begin with. But this is really how we're building community for the last 5-6 months. So to go into another format where there's nobody at all in the sanctuary and you're just watching a rabbi at a podium just feels like it just expresses this absolute loneliness of space in which we can have a conversation and we can connect. I mean, the highlight has always been us doing services together so we can have these interviews, but we've been able to do this throughout this time with lots of different people too.
Right.
And there is an intimacy. There's a closeness to this that I don't think you would get from having a camera in the back of the sanctuary.
Well, certainly it would be different because right now you can see behind me. You can see my part of my life, and I can see part of your life, and you've moved around more. I've now streamed from 3 different places in our time.
Yeah. Mine is kind of, it depends on who's home, where everybody is, how the light is, how the Wi-Fi signal is.
Right.
I mean, it's I live in an old house, so sometimes in the basement it's harder for me to get signal, even if I try to do it. So I have to move to other places, but I think that the continuity is that I'm always at my home.
Right.
And it's just a new way of living anyways. I have 3 kids and, they need to know that when I'm on and I'm talking to someone, they can be picked up, they can be heard, they can do whatever. And it's not as clean. But it also is like, it is what this time is, which is this very strange, surreal experience of, I was thinking like before like March, I didn't know what Zoom was. Like I had never thought about it. I thought it was a TV show growing up in Boston that we all used to watch, or like a sound effect. But it's like, I mean, we live on it now.
Right. And I think that was, as we began to explore it, we wanted this to be an authentic experience in this very different moment in time. And that dissonance, I've been at Beth and I'm only a couple of times since all this began, and I've walked into the sanctuary and I stood there and I went, what would it be like to stand in an empty room, empty sanctuary, and lead all of our services? And I realized that didn't make sense. That being said, the memorial service will be more familiar because that was filmed from the sanctuary. Because one of the things we've been doing online service, well, let me back up. We've been streaming our high holidays for over 10 years because we've always had a community of people from our Jewish community who've watched. They've watched us online at the high holidays, and so they've experienced the energy and the sound and the music. But we've always made a separate memorial service for the online community. We recognize that the online community, the name, because our tradition at Beth is to read all the names of our deceased loved ones. Well, it would make no sense to be doing that there would be no connection. So we've always did a different online service. So this year we're using the container, if you will, the original. I recorded them early last year. So we're using the readings and our structure and the candle lighting, but then we're including all of our memorial names that we would typically read as part of it. So that one is the most formal of the services where I'm standing in the sanctuary. All the other services, I'm sitting right here in a collared shirt I'm just wearing a tie. I'm not even wearing a jacket this year. We actually talked about how we're feeling and how we're living. I think I'm hoping this is a one-time event in my life, but I wanted to reflect what the pandemic feels like rather than ignoring it.
Well, it's interesting to see how the outside world affects our experiences of the high holiday. I think about after 9/11, how a holiday like Rosh Hashanah that has so much joy in it and so much passion in it was tamped down by this experience, and everybody had to flip and create these experiences around it. So the outside world has always affected it, but it never so drastically as far as the medium. I can remember rewriting sermons, but I can't remember re-envisioning, which we did a lot of this summer, of like, how do we create the intimacy of it?
Right.
And I've seen the other pieces, I've seen a connecting of our Jewish community and our bricks and mortar community, because people are attending different things with each other and they're getting to know each other, which is a very wonderful kind of special thing that's happening that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Correct. Right. I mean,
There are benefits to it. It gets harder and harder, I think, the more tired you get of being online and not being with people to find those kind of benefits. But I think there are some. I think we've been able to be in close contact with a lot of people in our congregation for an extended period of time on a regular basis. So that's really what people have needed. And I think we wanted to make a service that felt like that.
Right.
Felt like you and I were having a conversation with them.
Right, right. And I said, I joked, I think it was to you, if folks don't like, if there are things you don't like, it really, hopefully, you don't send it to me, because I don't think we're going to be doing this again.
Right. We're playing with house money right now. That's what it feels like.
I said, what?
We're playing with the house money, you know, like that we're going to try it. And I think that we've done it with really good intention, and we've worked very, very hard at it. And I think it's going to be wonderfully connective, and hopefully we never have to do it again.
Right,
so.
right. It just, it's redesigning it. And fortunately, too, our Beth Adam liturgy is beautifully written, and
So
that I credit to the people who worked on it diligently over the years. And as we were reading and recording some of the services, those words resonated with new meaning. They meant something, and listening to those words about community, about our responsibility, given what we're living through, there was a power to them that I think is really important. I'm hopeful that we shortened some of the readings. We changed them around because they weren't responsive like they typically would be. I'm hoping that people listen with new ears. Really listen to the liturgy and to see how it resonates in the moment that we're currently living. Given that our services,
also that we involved congregants in the process, not only in the process of re-envisioning how the liturgy would look, but in the actual service itself in a very powerful way.
Right.
Different groups of congregants were part of it, and you know, just to be able to go through it with them a couple times and make sure that they felt comfortable with it. There's an intimacy to that experience where I feel very close to the people that we shared the services with too.
Absolutely. And the other thing too, and I would be remiss if I didn't say it before we conclude, I've been joking with lots of people. I think people are going to be shul surfing this year. I think what's different this year than in other years, while there have always been streaming services, a good percentage of the people who want to attend services go to a particular congregation. So they come to Beth Adam, or they go to one of the Reformed congregations or conservative congregations here or across the country, and they're not sitting in front of their computers. And when they get home, they're likely not going to be going to see what's in archives. This year, if anybody's going to go to services, unless they're Orthodox, are going to be online. And I think people are going to be watching different services for a while and go, oh, I've heard this prayer over at my other congregation. I'm going to see what somebody else is doing.
It's a great kind of like way of seeing what's going on in other movements and seeing what's going on in other parts of the country.
Right.
I mean, you could watch Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur services 3 times within our own country. So, you know, if you want to sit through all,
I'm not going to do that.
That's right. We're doing it once. That's what's happening.
Once is, but I think one of the things that I would say certainly to folks who find what we do here at Beth Adam and our Jewish community meaningful is invite people to come. Tell them they just come for a little bit. The nice part of it is, given that we're all in the same situation, they can visit. They don't have to feel guilty that they're not going to their own shul, their own synagogue, and they can experience Beth Adam for a little bit and have a sense of what we're about. So I'm excited.
In the liturgy, we have it available. So
right, the liturgy we have, but we're also not having people read with us. We're not passing out our liturgy to everyone. There's no reason, given that ours is in English and one can follow along, and we have people reading it. I think it's going to be really very, very. They did a really good job. So it's going to be a different experience. We've been working on it. It's getting close. It's now September. Religious school is kicking off as well. Adult education and kids, our village, are kicking off before Rosh Hashanah. So even though it's been a sort of a strange journey, it's about to begin in the way it oftentimes begins with the beginning of religious school and then the high holidays.
Yep. It's coming.
It's been interesting. We're excited to be doing this. I think I'm excited. I'm really going to be curious. And I said this to one of our Friday night service. I'm just going to be curious what resonates with people and what doesn't resonate. Not so much that we're going to tweak them and change them, because I'm hoping, as I said before jokingly, I'm hoping this is a one-time deal. But I do think we might learn something about what we value in services by doing an analysis of what we learned from doing this.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, I mean, the idea of just coming back to what we talked about, of editing things down, like what is the kernel that we want to share? What's the piece?
Well, but I do want to stake my claim right now. Next year, when we come back together, I get to go back to my old length of sermon and old length of
do whatever you want. We're just gonna have a little service and just a whole sermon. That's what it's gonna be.
Right. We get the time. I got it. We get all the time we saved this year. We get to use.
That's exactly right. We get to use it next year. Our 90-minute sermons. It'll be perfect.
Well, it's good chatting with you. I hope.
Talk to you too.
And for everybody who's joined us tonight, that you join us for the high holidays and participate in, whether in real time or in the archives, and invite folks to explore and experience. And the most important thing really is that the days have been running into each other. We're living this very strange time. The Rosh Hashanah marks a turning point, and that when we talk about a Lashana Tova, a good year, those words, that phrase has resonance more so this year to me than maybe in past years. That next year, the year that we're about to start, the Jewish calendar, is a good year and a healthy year. We've known way too much death and illness in our country and around the world. And as we're coming up to this new milestone, I hope that there's a change of intentionality, a change of action, and that we all see how we can participate in making the new year one that we can be proud of. So I hope my conversation with Rabbi David Burstein whetted your appetite a bit to see what we're going to be doing for the upcoming high holidays. I certainly hope you join us for what will be a once, I hope, and a lifetime experience for all of us, that we're all in our homes and the services are conducting from our homes as well. If you want to participate, the easiest thing to do is to go to bethadam.org. bethadam.org. That is our website, and there you'll find links to our streaming high holiday services. Now, I know some folks are watching our services, or the service right now, on one of our 2 Facebook pages. They will be streamed, the high holidays, to our Facebook page, but if you want to find them quickly and you don't want to wait for it to pop up into your feed, your news feed, just go to bethadam.org. I would suggest you go there early to check out the times of our services. You can find those listed there. So we're going to continue our service right now with our virtual challah and our virtual wine, and then we'll have a few more announcements. So if you have some wine, some challah, some bread, some people like the fact I joke about melba toast, whatever you had, the idea is that this is a way that we affirm our connection with each other. So at this moment, we come together to welcome the Shabbat. We take pause, breathe in life, and reflect on the importance of each of our lives. We feel the touch of the Spirit on the body, the warmth of fellow human beings. We embrace our uniqueness and our diversity, our capacity to create, to explore, to change our world. In the sharing the challah, this Sabbath bread, we nourish our spirit. We are connected with each other, with our ancestors, with the earth, the sky, and all of nature. Baruch Hamal Kapenu, blessed is the work of our hands. Baruch Hazon Ha'adam, blessed is the vision of our minds. Baruch Lechem Ha'aretz, blessed is the bread of the earth. And then if you have some wine or juice, join with me. Life is a wondrous gift. The mind observes with awe, and appreciation flows from the heart. Life's joyful bounties are unveiled. Such treasures abound in ordinary moments. A familiar face, the simplicity of a smile, tender kisses, the warmth and security of a hug, enchanting melodies, the grace of dance, the coolness of sculpted marble, a remarkable story. The complexity of atomic structure thunders reverberation, the shimmering of the rainbow, intoxicating rose petals. These moments become opportunities to affirm that which is good as we lift the cup, a tribute to life's enchantments. May we find joy and contentment in our human endeavors. Bruchim hachayim ba'olam. Blessed is the life within the world. Bruchim hachayim ba'adam. Blessed is the life within each person. And we say, l'chaim, to life. So, a couple quick announcements. Next week is our memorial service. For those of you who joined us before, you know what that is. For those of you joining us for the first time, let me explain. Once a month, we read the names of the deceased loved ones during our service. If you're part of our online community, please send me the name in the next 2 or 3 days. I need them earlier. It's the way we're doing our work now. So please send them in the next 2 or 3 days to rabbi@bethadam.org. That is the name of a deceased loved one whose name you'd like included in our service. For our bricks and mortar members, those names from the Yortzeit list will automatically be included. As I said before, and Rabbi Bruce and I were talking about, the high holidays are rapidly approaching. 2 weeks, September 18th, which is a Friday night, is the first night is Rosh Hashanah. And we will be streaming our Rosh Hashanah service at 7 o'clock. There will be no services, no streaming services, no Zoom service before that. So at 7 o'clock is our Rosh Hashanah service. As I suggested a few moments ago, the best thing to do is go to bethadam.org, and there you'll find the complete schedule of services, our Rosh Hashanah evening service, morning service, Yom Kippur evening and morning, and memorial service as well. For those of you who've been part of our Jewish Media Online over the years, you know that in the past we have done a memorial service with photographs. This year we are not doing that because we are combining our bricks and mortar memorial service with our online services. We've had to change the formatting a little bit. It will be very familiar, but rather than the photographs, it will only be names. Unfortunately, we can add no more names at this time because of the work it's taken to get all these materials together. So I hope you join us for the holidays, and I hope you invite people to join us as well. One of the unique things this year represents is everybody is going to be at home for the holidays. So you might suggest to somebody that you know, hey, why don't you take a peek at Beth Adam? You can stop in for a little bit and experience this unique community that I enjoy and value so much. So I look forward to seeing you next week for our Shabbat service. And we close with the words we close with each week. May we know blessings those who are near. May we know blessings those who are far. And may the Sabbath bring its goodness to everyone soon, wherever they are. Shabbat Shalom.